suspect is armed and considered extremely dangerous.
Let's go. At the back of my hand. The mother boys, I don't give a damn. They kiss the ring, I carry the crown. Nothing can bring me down. Don't need no advice. I got a plan. I know the direction, the lay of the land. Them other boys, I know this place like the back of my hand. Them other boys, I don't give a damn. I'm the man. Come round. No, nothing can bring me down. I'm the man. Come round. No, nothing can bring me down. I got gas in the tank. I got money in the bank. I got news for you, baby. You're looking at the man. I got skin in the game. I got a household name. I got news for you, baby. You're looking at the man. Who's the man? I'm the man. Who's the man? I'm the man. I'm the man with the plan. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man. I'm the man with the plan. I'm the man with the plan. I'm the man. Who's the man? I got gas in the tank. I got money in the bank. I got news for you, baby. You're looking at the man. I got skin in the game. I'm headed for the Hall of Fame. I got news for you, baby. You're looking at the man.
Suspect is armed.
Greetings, fellow humans. It's been a hot minute since I did a music review, but I'm back. Thanks to Joe Compton for holding down the fort, doing some wonderful music reviews, and everyone who's had some wonderful words of support. I'll talk about all of that in another video on my channel. For now, let's just talk music and have some fun. A while back, meaning April or March, a very lovely guy called Dylan James reached out because I did a video on BookTube saying that I review indie music artists, and I do. Life became life and things got complicated, but now that I'm getting back into reviewing music, I didn't want to review him. His message said, "I couldn't help but notice your video. Oh yeah, I do indie music reviews. I bet you can relate. As an artist, one of the most discouraging things is not being able to share the art you poured love into with the world. I can definitely relate to that." And it was such a nice and refreshing approach rather than, you know, I've had other people go like, "Oh, read my book," or do whatever, and be really pushy. He was really nice about it. So I listened to his music with an open mind, and I found a really nice album. It's got 10 tracks to it. Off the get-go. Is it perfect? No, but I really like it, and I don't want to sound negative. I just want to say that 8 of the 10 tracks play to Dylan's strengths. He does everything except play bass on this thing. And I think when he plays to his strengths, which is doing melodies, doing harmonies, and having some... If you hear this track, it has that REM feel to it. Like, it has that 90s feel. Other tracks have a bit more of an Americana roots feel to it, and I think those are the tracks that he excels at. There are 2 tracks, which are tracks 6 and 10, I won't even mention the names, that he went a bit more experimental, and not to say that it's terrible, but I don't think that he plays to his strengths. His strengths are, like I said, melody, harmonies, musicianship, and there are so many songs that have that fall or summer sunset feel in the South. And he's from Connecticut, which I find it really interesting.
Look like you're tired of living. Look like you've about given up.
You know, when he goes psychedelic, it's kind of a bit weird. And I think he just wanted to broaden his palette, but when he plays to what I believe are his strengths, he sounds a bit like R.E.M. or Counting Crows and has that little bit of southern charm to it, which I think is really nice. That first track that I'm playing right now, it's called Believe, and I think it sounds 90s fresh, and I think that's a really cool thing to come across. But for me, when he does tracks like this, I really like, but just slow. And the thing is that I don't see anyone listed on the drums, so I don't know if he actually programmed the drums, and if that's the case, or if he plays them as well. Wow. But there's that southern warm afternoon feel to it, and I really enjoyed it. It reminded me a bit of one of the side projects from one of the band members of Blind Melon. I don't know, it's really cool, and it was really refreshing because it doesn't sound current in the best way possible. It doesn't sound dated or anything like that. It just sounds like the type of throwback that I enjoy. And I've noticed that as time passes, I enjoy music with that southern touch, but just enough, like 2 or 3 drops of southern twang without going full twang. And I think Dylan did a wonderful job with Flesh and Blood. That's the name of the album. The link will be included. Check him out. He's also a nice guy, and I think that's worth the price of admission. So cheers to you, Dylan, and cheers to you for watching and going indie. Cheers.
I saw it in the darkness. You're shining that sacred light. It's calling out from silence. It's shining on through the night. Well, I was a stranger then.
Hey guys, C.O. Kanan here from Fiction Atlas Press, bringing you your monthly marketing tip. And today I want to talk about newsletter swaps. Now, what is a newsletter swap? This is when you get with another author and you decide, hey, my audience might like your book, and I think your audience might like my book. So what you do is you schedule a date that works for both of your newsletters, and you will share the other person's book, and they will share yours. And this kind of helps you reach a different audience than from what you're usually used to getting with your own subscribers. And it's just a form of cross-promotion. It's a great free way to promote your book to a new audience. Now, there's several ways that you can do this. There's a bunch of Facebook groups that you can go into. I know 20 Books to 50K has a weekly thread on Saturday where you can do newsletter swaps. You can ask for them in different groups. I know an Alliance of Young Adult Authors has, I think they have a group for this, but they also have Tuesday Team Up. And on Tuesday, a lot of people do ask for newsletter swaps. Author Grow has a discussion group where you can ask for swaps. If you're looking for genre specific, I know SFF for science fiction and fantasy. SFF swaps is a great one. But there's also a few actual websites, and I've written them down. Let's see. There's a few websites that I've used before to get swaps. And my favorite one, by far, so far, because I've tried a few different ones, is Story Origin, because you can actually verify, you know, what the other author, how many subscribers they have, what genres they are, and they make it really easy. You just put in whatever date your newsletter is going to go out, and you can easily find swaps that way. And they've got a whole bunch of other features too. But there's some other sites that you can do this on, and I've written them down. There's Indies Unlimited, Book Sprouts, which is also great for getting advanced reader copy reviews, Book Boast, and Book Hub. But there's probably even more than that out there. It's a great way to get your stuff in front of a new audience. Don't be scared to approach other authors. There people are out here looking for these swaps. It helps them just as much as it helps you. And if you're saying, well, I don't have that many newsletter subscribers, I don't know why anybody would swap with me. There are people out there that are willing to swap with authors who have a smaller list. And you can even put that on some of these sites like Story Origin. And you can find people that have the same size list as you. And then some people with bigger lists may still swap with you. I have a list of about 5K right now, which is not huge, but I will swap with anyone. I mean, some authors only want to swap with a certain number, but I will swap with anyone. So as long as it's within my genre. And that is something you also need to think about, because you don't want to just be sending anything to your subscribers, because you've worked really hard to gain these subscribers. So you want to make sure that the book that you're going to be sharing will resonate with them. So if you are a science fiction author and you generally send like science fiction and fantasy things, you may not want to send like a sweet romance or an erotica sort of book. So you kind of want to stay within your genre, unless you write both of those. And if you write both of those, I would suggest segmenting your list anyway. But try to stay within your own genre if you can. And you can put a few spots in there. I think I send 2 newsletters a month. And so I do about 2 in my first newsletter and about 6 in my last newsletter. So just whatever works for you. If you really need a lot of people to be, sending it out, then you might want to do more swaps for that month, especially if it's a new release or something. But that's my tip for today, is how to get newsletter swaps and where you can find them. If you haven't tried doing a newsletter swap yet, I really, really recommend it. It's a lot cheaper than booking all those newsletter ad companies, which you should still do if you can. But especially if you're on a budget, this is a great way to get your book out there. Okay, if you have any questions, as always, you can email me at info@fiction-atlas.com, and I would be happy to discuss anything about marketing with you, especially this newsletter swap topic. And you can also get a hold of me on social media. All right, thanks guys. I'll see you next month. Bye.
All right, well, hey guys, I'm author and musician Jim Jackson, and I'm here with photographer and poet Josephine Loray, and we're looking at the Cowichan series, your new book.
Yes, it's a collection of poetry and photography taken and inspired in the Cowichan Valley, which is in on Vancouver Island in BC, in British Columbia. I had become quite sick with pneumonia, and I was in a low period of my time as well with the breakup and all that heartbreak thing, and trying very hard to find reasons to inspire me to keep going, kind of in that dark moment.
This is what brought out what started the whole collaborative project.
Yes,
here.
yes, because on the radio they were playing a song and it was Leonard Cohen, but he wasn't singing, he was speaking over top of music, and I thought that's what I want to do.
Right, and then we had an opportunity to do that, to work together for that.
Last year in December, Miranda Krogstad, who is a local author and ideas person, she put together a show called Words That Move Me, and what she wanted was poetry put to music, dance live in front of an audience.
Right.
So we collaborated in that with 3 pieces. And at one point, Jim...
She wrote poems, she sent them to me, I wrote music to them, and then she read them to that music.
Yes, and it was fantastic. And then Jim turned to me and said, "Do you have enough for an album?"
It was so much fun. I love doing it. I've never done that with music and somebody else's words before.
Yeah.
So we put it together, an album and a book as well. So how was it having your words interpreted by somebody else, but not even somebody else in words, into someone else's music? How was that for you?
Well, it just keeps adding dimensions to it, because at first you start off with an image or some metaphor, and you write words, and they're words on a page. And then when you speak them, it kind of gives them wings and allows them to come off the paper. But then having the added elements of the music, and then the timing in the reading, and all of the emotions that are brought through in the silences by the music is fantastic. I think there was only one piece where I felt that the vibe was wrong.
It was a great piece of music. She turned to me and said, "Yeah, but where are the words going to fit in?" And I went, "Hey, yeah, okay, fine. Maybe we'll tone that one down a bit." And the thing I loved about this project is that where else but in the indie world could you get these kind of things and put them together? So we have the book, we have the album, and where else would you find that except in the indie world? And so what we've done is taken our different communities and kind of brought them together. I mean, exposed your fans of your poetry to my music, fans of my music to your poetry, and bring that that indie community together. So that's how we go indie now. It's a great collaboration. We both had a lot of fun with it. I think the final product is really good, both on paper and in your headphones or speakers or however you listen to your music now. So you're going to read something from it to the backing track. All right. Well, let's read some poetry and let's play some music. All right.
Yeah. In this town, banana seat bicycles leaning up against loggers' cabins, shingle siding painted sapphire, mustard, sage, moss goes thrigonly roofs. In that town, streamers, clackers, bikes with just one gear, kids waiting till dusk to play hang-go-seek, hiding behind parked cars, in neighbors' yards, scurrying around maple trees like squirrels. In this town, a fire station, a butcher shop where hunters bring fresh kill, a trailer park down by the water, nestled in a valley, ringed by peaks that remember indigenous names. In that town, tucked in a city named for trees standing in water, an Italian bakery, a greengrocer, a corner store, candy 3 a penny, 5 a penny. In this town, a green bowler trailer under plastic wraps, tires gone flat, indoor chairs ring an outdoor fire pit, a budding of beer cans on brown lawn. Gypsy-inspired music from behind a 10-foot cedar hedge. In that town, a schoolyard where we play 7-up against a brick wall, old tennis ball, badminton under a canopy of leaves, a veranda for listening to thunder. In this town of fowls' lots, swallows swooping over corpses of lodgepole pine, the rumbling dust of logging trucks, a caravan of campers traveling to somewhere just past the next bend in the road. In that town, knowing which doorbell to ring for trick-or-treats, the sing-song voice of a lady next door calling to her kids in Greek, Yani, Elena, Elado. In this town, no fences, no bike helmets, a dog on the lap of a kid on a gyrating swing. If I were to wait till dusk, would they come running out of these houses, amethyst, mustard, royal blue, calling, "Ollie, ollie, oxen free"? This town bats.
All right, there we go. So this town, that. So book, album, links are here or there or somewhere. The Cowichan series, music by me, words by Josephine Loray.
Yep, and this will take you directly to the music, and then every page that has a musical note on it, such as this, has a track that corresponds.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun to do. I hope that transfers to you as an audience. So, all right, back to you guys.
Tilt number 1 introduces the reader to the action-packed, fourth-wall-breaking, mouthy hero, Tilt. His real name is Patrick, and he has a bit of a sordid history. When his powers begin to manifest as a teenager, his parents fearfully ship him off with an eccentric billionaire who promises that he knows of a group who can help him learn to control his powers. Unfortunately, that group is also a secret organization bent on manipulating or exterminating hyper-evos. Tilt became their top mercenary, carrying out orders without question, until he found his chance to escape. And once he does, he becomes the hero of Boston, but with no glory, no family, and no home. We pick up as he begins his journey to track down the Council of Elders and those responsible for experimenting on him. The story is tied directly into the Catalyst Comics universe and is the second superhero story that we've introduced. Experience the thrills and the fun in Tilt issue number 1. Hey everybody, Aaron Dowen here. I am the writer and the creator of Tilt, as well as the founder and co-owner of Catalyst Comics Studio. And we want to thank you for checking out Tilt number 1. We're so excited about its release and the great reception that it's had from its readers already. I wanted to create a character that people could fall in love with, and somehow a lot of women have been really fawning over Tilt. You can order a copy on our website, catalystcomicsstudio.com, or message us on Facebook or Instagram at Catalyst Comics Studio. Or if you prefer to read it on Kindle, Tilt's available there as well. Join us as we continue to grow this epic new superhero universe, and check out some of our other works as well.
Hey everyone, Rebekah Jonesy here. My second book from the Mab's Doll series has just come out. That is Clay and Blood. You can find it anywhere you find books. And so I'm going to do a short reading for you. Once Jillian felt able to control herself, she slowly let go of Pitch's neck. He continued to hold her as she scrubbed at her face, drying her tears. "I must seem very silly to you right now," she mumbled into her hands. "I tell you I am not a baby, and then I cling to you and cry like one." She felt him shake his head back and forth, denying her accusations. Pitch pulled his head up and back in a way that only a shapeshifter could, tilting his head to focus one eye on her directly. He waited until she lifted her face from her hands and looked up at him. He slowly and emphatically shook his head again, making sure she understood he did not feel the same way. Opening his eye wide, he brought back his red vapors. This time, she felt her body react before her own black vapors seeped out as tiny wisps around her eyes. A baby cannot make a vapor because it's a physical manifestation of their magic, and Fae do not have strong magic that young. Jillian laughed as she caught on. She knew he was doing his best to raise her spirits again. Pitch nodded happily and finally let her go, sitting back on his haunches as he watched her. Once he moved away, the black vapor disappeared from her vision. But I still have the self-control of a young child. He nodded again. Jillian sighed. If I had been thinking about it, I would have expected this. But I've spent so long in others' memories that I forgot I was not truly an adult. The magic knows, though, and it will do as it will. It will mature and sprout at its own pace, as within any child of the Fae. Pitch nodded again and puffed out his chest, lifting his chin in a proud manner. But I will have my wise, old friend to teach me, Jillian laughed. Therefore, I will not fear it. At her words, Pitch's ear cocked, and he gave her a slightly questioning look. Jillian was about to ask him about it when a breeze came up. The canopy of leaves parted slightly as the branches moved with the wind. Pale starlight fell down on them. They both looked up, distracted for a moment. Pitch dropped his eyes first, shaking himself. He shakes like a bird settling his feathers, Jillian thought before she reluctantly turned her eyes away from the clear sky, looking down on them. Pitch had changed forms again. Now he was sitting in a more natural form for him. Looking like a mix between a dog and a horse, covered in spiked fur, his fangs hung out over his top and bottom lips. While sitting in this form, he was just as tall as she was standing. Looking into his kind and patient eyes that were level with hers, she knew what he was waiting for. Should I sit for this lesson as well? Pitch nodded, and she dropped to the ground in front of him, crossing her legs. Once she was settled, he leaned forward, bringing his face close to hers again, but not as close as last time. His eyelids gently closed, covering his eyes fully. Knowing she would have to watch his every move, she paid close attention to what he was doing. Very slowly, he opened his eyes. Once they were half lidded, the vapors appeared as thin wisps. The wider he opened his eyes, the thicker and brighter they became. Jillian tried to follow what he had done, closing her eyes, then slowly opening them. But no matter how wide she tried to force them open, no black smoke danced along the edge of her vision. Pitch waited patiently as she did so, not stopping her. Once her focus was back on him, he repeated his movements, opening his eyes slowly till the halfway point. Vapor sprouted again, then continued to collect and grow, even though his eyelids did not move. It is not moving your eyelids that does it, however it is something akin to that, Jillian guessed. Pitch nodded. Stretching his neck forward, he moved his eyes directly in front of her again, squishing them together in his head so they were lined up eye to eye with hers. Now that he was no longer mimicking a horse, both of his eyes were at the front of his skull like a predator's should be. This time, when he brought vapor into existence, she was close enough to feel the magic open and burst out. Her own eyes prickled in response. Feeling where that prickle started, Jillian reached within her mind and felt a seam. It felt much like the way the edges of the shadows felt to her. She pulled the seam open, and shadow black flames poured out of her eyes, nose, and mouth before rising up into the night air. Pitch fell back, startled at the sudden flare of her magic. A rustle, like a flock of birds taking off nearby, reached her ears, but Jillian could not see past the dark flames that covered her vision. "I do not think I did this right," she laughed, turning his head and trying to see him with her peripherals. So, that is a fun scene from my book, Clay and Blood. If you would like to check it out, like I said, you can find it anywhere books are sold, and that is obviously a little scene where the baby fae princess in an adult's body finds her new magic. So check it out.
Hutson here. I am just giving you guys a little heads up. I can't actually hold the audiobook in my hand, but this is Sanctuary of Dellen, book 1 in the Unclaimed trilogy, and I just released an audiobook for Sanctuary of Dellen, which is available now across the board on Audible and Okubo and Apple Books, Barnes & Noble, I guess it's Nook audiobook. Super excited about this book. This is dark fantasy in more of a magical world than any of my other stuff, and the same universe as my new Vessel Broken LGBT dark fantasy series that I'm writing right now. So if you want to take a listen to Sanctuary of Dellen, you're in for a real treat. It's narrated by Brandon Palmer, who is he's phenomenal. He did a fantastic job, character voices and everything in this ebook. And he completely brought the entire story to life. I got chills listening to him narrate a book that I wrote. And there are plans in the future for the rest of this series and all my other books to be audiobooks as well. So if you're interested, check it out. You can listen to a little sample, and I hope you enjoy. The sample's awesome. It's got one of my favorite characters in it in this book. That's that. Take a peek or a listen to Sanctuary of Dellen, and I can't wait to hear what you guys think. Bye!
Chapter 1. Karen clawed at another handhold on the slippery rock and hoisted himself up, cursing the man he thought he trusted. He'd followed the river north just like Taurus had instructed, but nothing could have prepared him for this kind of waterfall, or the fact that he now had to climb it. Having seen faces in the water had been eerie enough, but he'd chalked it up to the fact that he hadn't eaten all day. Looking down, though, he couldn't convince himself that what he saw now was just another hallucination. Karen wasn't that mad. The icy water fell over the 30-foot cliff to which he now clung, spraying his face and numbing his hands more than he would have liked. But at the base of the cliff, the pool that should have churned with white foam lay as still as glass, perfectly reflecting the orange glow of sunset. Even stranger still, the river he'd followed flowed into that same pool, stopping abruptly at the smooth surface. Taurus had told Karen he'd find the cottage just beyond the waterfall, and naturally, like any self-respecting, sane person, he'd expected that waterfall to drop into a valley. It should have given him an easy descent. The man had mentioned neither having to climb, nor a body of water that defied all natural laws. Spending all 20 years of his life, as far as he knew, working off his ward's debt in the dust and dry heat of the iron pit had made him strong. When Taurus had paid off that debt and told Karen to meet him here, giving him seemingly simple directions, Karen had of course thought the journey would be easy, a break from the toil of labor that had been his existence. Having to work this hard now, on his first day of real freedom, seemed an unnecessary and rather frustrating obstacle. Taurus always enjoyed his secrets, but the fact that he'd kept this information from Karen only irritated him. He'd have a thing or two to say to the old man when he finally made it to the cursed cottage. The squelch of water between his toes in his now soaked boots made him groan, and then he had to stop. The unnatural silence of the rushing waterfall had changed, giving way to what sounded more like water boiling in a cauldron. Looking down again, he watched the smooth surface of the pool begin to bubble, acquiring depth and shape. It built upwards toward him, drawing from the rest of the pool to support itself in a column of churning water. Then it moved toward Karen, forming itself like a sculptor etching into his clay, and became the same dead face he'd seen hours ago in the river. It glared at him, and the lips parted to form anger-filled words he couldn't hear. He stared back at it, hoping his defiance would send it away. He had no other defense against such a thing. Then the base of the water dropped and the face splashed back down into the pool.
These don't say. You look so innocent, tell me that time has come and gone, that we can go back, and the things that we've done wrong. I'm not coming home, I'm not coming home tonight. Yeah. I'm not coming home, I'm not coming home tonight. Maybe you'll cry, maybe you won't, maybe you'll lie, maybe I don't. Your tears fall heavy into the ground and say so much but make no sound. My eyes are showing distant miles. The Lord get paid the endless miles. Maybe you think scared about the dress. I'm just a phantom lover to your breast. I'm not coming home, I'm not coming home tonight. I'm not coming
Hello and welcome to this month's review. I'm Julia J.K. Allen, and this month I am bringing you the review of Death Dresses Poorly. So this book is a dark comedy. It's a pretty good length for a read. So let's get started with the blurb. Ethan is a directionless 20-something who has finally cast off the heartbreaking responsibilities of his broken boyhood home, but not without irreversible scars and sarcasm. After surviving a tragic accident, he begins to suspect he may actually have something to live for. Is it a hidden purpose? His new beginning? Finding a decent cup of coffee? The answer is unclear until one morning a familiar stranger appears. The poorly dressed man at Ethan's door seems to have all the answers, but those answers comes with a grave proposition. So let's jump into the review. This book definitely features dark humor and a lot of snark. So it's not my typical read, but it didn't upset me and it held my interest. Ethan is kind of an anti-hero that you get to know and that most people can relate to. You want to know if he can really progress as a character or a person, but perhaps the point is that it's necessary he doesn't. He's being asked to take over a serious job after all, and that's the one of being death. So the cynicism kind of comes with the territory. And he does have an extremely strong willpower, which he used to survive the tragic accident that he was in. And it's also how he got the offer for the job in the first place. There's a multi-universal threat to everything, and the balance between everything and the light and nothing, which is the darkness void, is being threatened by some traveling, multi-dimensional traveling people who don't understand that they're really upsetting the balance. So they need someone with a strong will who gets angry enough to interfere. But will Ethan take the job? I found this book entertaining, except for a few running jokes that got old as they repeated during the story. But it was an interesting look into his life and issues with a drug-addicted and neglectful mother, one too selfish to take any interest in him or his much older sister. Ethan may have been able to do something to help her, but he doesn't regret not doing it. That's part of what he has to come to terms with. How he could be death and still patch up his personal relationships. He's lived his life mostly alone and sick of people, but does he have to stay that way? Overall, I would recommend this book, especially if you're looking for something different than what you typically read. Like I said, it's dark humor, but I find a lot of people like that. The book has a resolution, but also seems like it could be open for more. I'm not sure if that was the author's intention, but it does show Ethan after his fateful decision, so you won't feel cheated about an ending at all. So check out Death Dresses Poorly if you're in the mood.
G'day Dark Realmers, it's horror author and illustrator Michael J. Elliott here with you again today. And do you know, one of the things I love is that once a month Uncle Joe takes me out to go dumpster diving. Just for little bits and pieces to decorate my cell with, okay? And look what I found this month. No, it's not for that. I mean, he may be a cruel, evil, megalomaniac tyrant, but he does supply me with the basic needs of life. No. This is for writing a short story. And last month I found a Crayola. So yeah, I'm going to write a short story. Well, oh, you've got an idea for a short story too, hey? Great. Okay, well, I can help you with that. I've got some tips and tricks that may help you getting that short story from there down to there. So let's get started. Yeah. Okay, Dark Realmers. Well, the first thing you really need to know about the short story is, well, when compared to a novel, the short story is a sprint and the novel is a marathon. In the novel, you have a lot of time for plotting, character development, story arc and so forth. But with a short story, you don't really have that luxury. It's a little bit like demonstrating your wares. You have to hook the reader, okay? Now, one of the best ways you can do that is to start your action close to or very near where the main story is going to occur. And what do I mean by that? Well, okay, basically if you've got a, let's say, I don't know off the top of my head, for no apparent reason, a horror story, okay? You want to start it to basically grab the reader's attention, and you can do that. And I'm just going to use a trope as an example. Please you don't have to use this, but a chase. Let's say there's a woman and she's running down the street, breathless, perspiring, constantly looking back over her face, over her shoulder to what's behind her. Now straight away you've got the audience interested. Who is this woman? Why is she running? What is after her? So rather than have that in a novel where you've got time to sort of build that up, you've plunged the reader right into the middle of it, okay? Now, that is a big help in not only cutting back on material that you don't need, but it's also a way for you to incredibly build up your tension and the atmosphere of the story in the first few lines, because you remember the short story is sort of the equivalent of one chapter from a novel, okay? And if you look at it in that terms, you realise how limited you are in getting stuff in there. Now, of course, it works for any genre. Let's say a romance, and we could have the protagonist, a heroine who's meeting the person that she's just besotted with for the first time, and it can be in any setting. She could be there in a cafe enjoying a latte, something like that, and she meets the barista, and that gives you the opportunity to describe the character of the woman and also the character of the person that she's besotted with. Now, for romance readers, they're going to be interested in, okay, what is it about this man, you know, that's attracted this woman? Apart from physical attraction, of course, is there something? You may want to go down a darker path and fool your readers with, you know, what appears to be a nice romance on the surface, but turns into something darker or a little bit mysterious, okay? And Karen J. Mossman does this brilliantly in her romance and her relationships with her characters. Very, very good. Another thing that you may want to think about doing is what I call the white rabbit, okay? And that's basically something that appears that shoots down the rabbit hole, just like in Alice in Wonderland. And by that I simply mean that a situation or a character pops up that, you know, is sort of only there very briefly, that catches the protagonist or the antagonist's attention and then disappears, but makes a reappearance later that makes the reader go, oh my god. Okay, so this can be something as simple as, let's say, your character's walking down the street, and your character is a very successful businessman, tie suit, works for a great big Wall Street company, and he meets a vagrant begging for money. Go away, scumbag of the earth, you know, get a job, things like that. Then we don't hear, we may have, your story may involve the stockbroker in his day-to-day grind and his quest for making money. But that vagrant that he's dismissed may be something entirely different that pops up later on. It may be, let's say, an angel looking for a decent person who, let's just say, okay, you like money, let's condemn you to drown in a vat of gold or something like that. Obviously, I'm using horror and creepy stuff because that's what I do, Dark Realmers. I'm a horror writer. I don't do nice really well. The closest I've come to is, well, it was a bit dark, was Mr. Westcott's Christmas. And that's a story I did that had so much praise for a little story. I thought it was a nice little story, but the reviews I got for that were, you know, people going, oh my God, I didn't see the ending coming in that. And I thought everyone would get that. I just thought, hey. So, as you can see, with your short story, you are limited, but you do have a lot of creative, well, not so much freedom, but you've got ways to stretch your creativity, okay? And one of the things you can also try to do is start backwards, and that's what I call the reverse clock. Now, I don't know if that's a proper name or anything, but I use it, and it's, well, just a great way to do a story that's different. And what the reverse clock is, you start the story backwards, and this is where the action has happened, or it's coming to its conclusion, and you're working your way backwards. And let's say you've got a hero, and let's say he's a miner, and he's trapped in a mine, you know, and this can be, let's say it's in the Middle Ages, so we don't have all safety equipment and everything like that. Okay, when did this happen? Is this man have enough oxygen? Will he get out? And you gradually work your way back to find what has brought about these events. That's a great way to keep your readers interested, okay? Now, that doesn't mean you can get away and not give them a satisfactory conclusion, I might add, okay? Let's say, for the sake of argument, that in this story, the miner is just about to suffocate and suddenly rocks part and crumble, letting in fresh air, and a hand reaches out. Oh my God, the reader's so happy. You know, you've told them everything they need to know and they're satisfied. Okay, Dark Realmers, look, I could give you a whole heap more, but look, if this is your first short story, or you're just starting out on the short story road, just remember too, I'd like to point out, now there are some writers out there who have this attitude that the short story is just good enough to use until they write their first novel and they become big and they become well known, or their novel gets the attention. That's the wrong attitude. The short story is an amazing, well, I think of it as a genre in itself, okay? And even Stephen King, he's been asked, why do you keep writing short stories when you've got so many successful novels? And he said, because I like short stories. I've got a story in my mind. It's not going to be a novel. It's going to just be a nice little short story. And that's why he still writes a collection of short stories today, okay? Now, I hope you found that interesting. If you do, let Uncle Joe know. He'll pass on the comments to me, and maybe I'll do another one of these for you at some later stage. So until next month, this is Michael J. Elliott signing off. I really have to get back to this story. Bye for now, Dark Realmers.
everyone, this is Okubo here at GoIndieNow Film Review, and today we're going to be talking about Silence, written and directed by Todd Braley. It's a great film. I really recommend people to check this out wherever you can find it. As soon as it's released, I was given a preview to it, and I want to say that this film it's a touching emotional roller coaster. The casting was amazing. The actors he got for his characters were brilliant. They brought them to life. I felt really pulled into the film and to the story, and I could just sit there and use this as a way to connect with my own things, my own demons, and really feel something, which I think is really lacking in today's genres of film. You know, that touching point where we cross the line between what a film is and our reality, and getting that connection there, right? I was really drawn into the realism of the story. I was really drawn into how each character behaved. You know, there was a certain humanity to each of them, and that in itself, I think, is something that he should be commended with in the way that he directed these characters and the way the story is written. Being able to provide such a wonderful, wonderful experience, right? This is Okubo. You guys have a good one, and remember, it's always time to go indie now.
That's the story of how I ran away from Arkansas.
Okay. Okay, guys, we need to go. Not quite yet. Caitlin has been avoiding questions about her date with Tony. Now, no more bullshit.
Really, Jenna?
Yo, Katie, are you gonna lock us out? What's up? Oh, come on, you guys. Okay, fine. Caitlin, talk, but make it quick.
Oh my god, you three are worse than the Golden Girls. And Jenna, I already told you everything that happened.
I know more than that happened.
Oh yeah? How do you know more than that happened?
Because you're wearing more makeup today than usual. Girl, that's highlight.
Ooh, Katie, tell us about it. Well, we kissed before we left the office.
What? Yo, girl, you made the first move? I knew you had some slut in you.
I don't believe this. Well, it happened. I really like him, guys. But I told him I wanted to take it slow, and he understood, so give me a break.
Okay, girls, we need to make sure that everyone's aware of Caitlin's virginity.
That's my personal business.
Yo, girl, it don't sound like you're doing any business. You need to get your freak on. Come on, you guys. Caitlin, we're just screwing with you.
Yeah. Just because you're fucking half the town doesn't mean the rest of us have to follow suit, Jenna. I mean, what's it like to have sex without love? What's it like to know that in the end no one likes you for you, they like you for what's between your legs?
Well, the rest of us do know, Miss Prissy. What's it like to be dumped by 3 guys because of your convictions? What's it gonna be like when Tony dumps you because you won't put out?
Jenna, stop it!
That was harsh, yo. And what she said wasn't?
Yeah, but she's not us, Jenna, and she never will be, so why do you feel the need to rag her for it?
For shizzle, man. She don't judge us, so why you feel the need to judge her?
I wasn't judging her, I just wanted to know how her date went.
You need to apologize to her. Word.
Patrick Whiting. I'm the writer and director of RAGMORK. I've also written and directed other films like Primordial and Hellhounds. So RAGMORK took a little while for me to write. I wrote it from fall of 2016 until fall of 2017, and then I began production in January of 2018. Principal photography ran until May of 2018, and then I did a lot of pickup shots from June through October. So between doing pickup shots and figuring out how I wanted to edit the movie, that was the part that took me the longest. Production itself was actually pretty easy, so I don't have a ton of tidbits or funny stories from on set. One interesting thing, though, the lead actor, Tim Novotny, he was an extra on the show Mindhunter during the production, so I actually had to reschedule a couple of shoots based around that show, so that was kind of cool. Advice for young filmmakers. My advice is, if you're trying to get started, just record anything interesting that you're allowed to record, of course. You know, nowadays I'm recording this on my iPhone. Nowadays cameras are readily available, so use anything at your disposal. Don't think that anything is too inferior for you or too sophisticated. Just whatever you have access to, record with it. Record, you know, anything, whether it's a friend's band or buildings or scenery you like, or just someone eating a meal or something. Just anything. Make sure that you like the craft before you really delve in. Make sure that you get a feel for what's interesting for you. And above all, just do what you care about.
RAGMORK. That was what I called it. A presence I could only feel in the dead of night. Alone. This thing followed my every move. My grandpa assured me it wasn't real. But nothing could convince me otherwise.
So anyway, thanks for listening, and I'll see you around.